Hello, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here and to have all of you here. 88 people, amazing. So again, I'm saying if you're a student, please write one in a chat so I can record your participation. And I'm also recording this seminar, so I will be able to send the link to the people that didn't come here, weren't able to join us today. Yeah, okay. So, dear colleagues and students, thank you very much for joining us for the first school seminar of this academic year. I'm Smadar Bentabu de Leon, if you don't know, and I'm the new seminar coordinator. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank Nicolas for coordinating the seminar for many years and for the excellent scientific talks he organized. And it was really hard to find a common themes that will interest all the schools. So this year, but not only because of this reason, I decided to change a little the format of the seminars and turn it into a school community event with the focus of making the world a better place in various aspects. So we are all scientists, and we do science because we love science, and we try to understand nature better. We get money to do our science, a lot of money. And I think it's a part of our duty to give back to the public that practically fund our science directly, not only through publishing scientific papers and talking to other scientists. I think we need to participate in educating the young generation, in increasing public awareness and advising policy makers, and this is the focus of the seminars this year. So since the school seminar is the only place where all of us meet, I think it's a great place to connect between the members of the school by sharing our efforts to make significant contributions in education, science, and raising public awareness to the ocean and inspiring each other to do more. And so you all received my emails asking you to tell me about your projects. And since I asked you, I received many emails describing exciting activities that warmed my heart and made me very happy and proud to be a part of such a giving community. You can read on some of these projects in the school community webpage. Just a second. Yeah, so there is a school community webpage, and you can read about the activities that are done by different members of the school. I urge you to send Sharon and Ilana information about other contribution you made to the public so they can add it to the web page. And just briefly, two examples of such activity. A team led by Sharon, you see it in the picture, a team led by Sharon Farber from the Marine Technologies Department. They mentor high school students in their research project, and the students won various excellency prize for their project. So that's really working with students and educating and giving them cutting edge knowledge about science. Sariel Shalev from the Marine Geoscience Department teaches an archaeology course of ancient materials, and the students work with high school students that learn from their families on the use of traditional tools. So these are really inspiring example for this kind of activities, outreach activities that I'm describing. And so please visit the webpage to learn more about the activity. And okay, so the topic of this first seminar, is promoting public education and awareness of the ocean. And we have 3 inspiring projects that will be presented by the makers, our colleagues from the school. The first speaker is from the Marine Geoscience Department. We all know Revital Bookman. Revital is the head of the sedimentology lab. I said it correctly, sedimentology lab, and she studies marine environmental geology. That is, she investigates paleoclimate records, sediment mass transfer processes, and anthropogenic pollution. But today, she won't tell us about her science. She will tell us about her mentoring of high school students in their GEOTOPS. So, Revital, the stage is yours.
I'm sharing my screen. Oops, what?
I stopped sharing mine, so you can just.
Ah, okay. Okay, so one moment. Okay, so I don't have a lot of slides, um, and I wish to. It basically is to explain how I started doing the GeoTop mentoring and why I did it. So first of all, it's very special to be the first one to introduce it. So. Um, I think it's really the subject that Smada chose is really important because I really believe we need to contribute back to society. So GeoTop is a independent research project in the field that is done in the field or in the lab in the subject of geology and is part of the high school studies of students. There are not a lot of students studying geology, is a bit rare. But still, it is a project that any student can join. And the idea is that the students develop research questions that interest them, and they look for the answers using field observation, the literature, lab work, and of course their own intuition. Um, my part of it is I was an advisor. Each student, high school student, has advisors, and I help them develop the questions and solve the mystery. Um, the importance of this project is that they get to experience real science. They learn to know how science is being done. They develop their own questions. So it's not like there is a fixed experiment that they come to do with a known result. It is more like an exploration. This is something that characterized a lot the geological studies. A lot of times you start with something and you discover something that is really new. And so this is the beauty of geology, but it can also be a challenge, especially if you are only in high school students. So how do I became part of that? So I like to say that that's how I started my career. As a high school student, I did a GeoTop. During my high school years, I was not such a good student, and I almost dropped school. But somewhere when around 16, I discovered that there is a possibility to do a GeoTop. I was studying geography. That's where they send all the bad students. And I approached my teacher and I asked her to do a GeoTop. I don't know how I discovered it. It was before the internet era. So somewhat I discovered that in Weizmann Institute, there is a group that is leading these GeoTops. Of course, my teacher didn't know anything about it and I did all the phone calls, but at the end I was able to join them. And basically, it changed the way I looked at my entire high school time, and it was basically one of the reasons I chose to go to study in the university at the end. It was a very significant experience for me. Last year I was in a sabbatical, so I decided that I need to use some of my time to give back. I was really inspired by my PhD student, Hadar El Yashiv, that I guess a lot of you know, who was part of a very interesting, very amazing project of communicating science to very young children using stories. And I was really impressed by that. And I thought, this is an amazing way to give back. And I felt like I should also give back. With her help, I contacted again, like more than a few tens of years later, the Weizmann Institute educational program. and asked if I can mentor a geotop. Of course, they were very, very happy. It's something that they really appreciate. And I decided to participate in the project. Okay, so some of you heard do you see the pictures, Smada?
Yes, you see, beautiful.
Yeah, okay. So some of you already heard my talk last Thursday on pollution of wetlands environments in the coast of Israel. So I chose to work on that in this environment, and I will tell the story why this one in a minute. But you can see here the students. I already mentored 3 groups of high school students, about 25 students. They first get a lecture explaining the environment that they are going to work in. Then we get out to the field. At that point, I already start to ask them to think about the project, research questions. This is showing the work that they were doing in the wetland environments. It's kind of challenging to work with high school students, high school teenagers that are mostly bored of everything and only think about lunchtime. But still, we got them working really nice, digging pits in the soil to get samples. They worked on heavy metal pollution in the wetland environment, and that's the work that I showed on Thursday. You can see here myself with them. It was very exciting to work with them together. We worked in a few wetland environments. This is the wetland environment of the Dora Pond near Netanya, where I lived as a child. And this is the coast of Carmel Coast wetlands in Sarputz.
Excuse me, please, everyone, mute your, who is speaking? Mute, excellent, sorry. Continue.
Okay, yeah. So after a day or 2 in the field, they come to the lab with the sediments. And here Nimer was discovered as a very good teacher who explained them how to work on the different equipment in the lab. They measure the sedimentology, grain size, total organic carbon, inorganic carbon, and even chemistry on the XRF at the Nicholas labs. And Nimer was really an extraordinary teacher. He was not only explaining them how to work, but he let them work, which was a very important thing. According to their teachers, the feeling of how to do science, how to measure, about the accuracy of the results, the weights, the volumes, all of that was very important for them. So this is Nimer working with them. And I will end by saying that the reason why I chose to work in the wetlands area is connected to, if I said that the Geotop was the first time I did science, and maybe that's where I started my career, maybe it's possible to take it even back even further in time to my childhood. This is the picture taken by my father in the Dora Pond. I lived close by. This is the wetland environment. And you're seeing here my first science group. This is Benny, Yoram, Gili, and my sister Ayelet, and we all went to study the pond. It was we spent all of our time there during the summer, exploring that environment. They were mostly interested in the biology, frogs and all of that, and I was very interested with the sediments. And here on the right side, you can see my GEOTOP project. It's called, in Hebrew, I will say, שחזור התפתחות גיאולוגית וגיאומורפולוגית בנחל חצבה מתקופת סמרה ועד ימינו על ידי חלוקים וקונגלומרטים. So basically, I reconstructed the geological history of נחל חצבה in the Dead Sea transform, going back to the Samra period. For the geologists, they know what we are talking about. The important thing was that it was a really serious research work, I was able to discover, for example, in this specific work, I discovered that the deepest part of the basin in the Arava Valley at that time, at that location, migrated from west to east. So it was a very interesting discovery that gave me a very good feeling that I can really do some important progress by doing science. So I know for the ones that are not geologists, maybe it doesn't talk to you, but still, it was it was a significant experience for me as a child, as a young teenager, and later as a scientist. So here in the picture, this is me trying to solve the mystery of geology. So thank you. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you very much. It was beautiful, Revital. It was really inspiring. I think it's an amazing example of how you can, first, how you yourself were so impacted by such an activity when you were a child. I love the pictures. And also how much I'm sure you are affecting others. And it's beautiful. By the way, Hadar will present her project in the next seminar. So
very good, very good. Yeah, yeah. I was thinking that she must present it. It's an amazing project. Yeah.
She will. So anyone wants to ask Revital questions, please, you're welcome to.
Revital, I've got a quick question. First thing, it's a really, really cool talk. Reminds us about why we got excited about science some time ago and how that getting excited by science as a child it's such an important aspect of what turned us. So I'm kind of curious, do you think that it's possible through this sort of research to get scientifically good results? How much of your efforts goes towards allowing the students to have a meaningful scientific experience? Yeah. And how much of it goes towards, I actually want to learn something? And have you ever found yourself in a place where you have to choose between these two kind of outcomes?
Yeah, first of all, it's possible to do significant science. It depends a lot on the student himself, how serious he is. The important thing is that we don't know what kind of results they will get. I feel that my role in this process is to help them find a path, even they, for example, they were looking for anthropogenic pollution and they didn't find it all the time. Sometimes their concentration were really low, so they were very frustrated that they cannot answer their questions. But then I showed them why. We try to understand. We know that there is pollution. Why we are not recording it? And then they develop all kinds of ideas. For example, look at the watershed and how it was influencing and the material itself and so on. So I think you can do significant science. Of course, it's not a science like we do, because for that you need a lot of time, but it is still, they can get real results that they can then understand and interpret and have conclusions. Yeah.
It helps both you and them, which is something I was also interested in.
Yeah.
You always get something when you give back. That's what I learned.
Yeah.
Okay, if there are not more questions, and I'm sure Revital will be happy. If you want to hear more, she will be happy to talk to you afterwards. I want to move on to the next.
I just want to say I'm sorry I cannot stay to hear the rest, but there is a recording, so I will see the recording.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Revital. It was beautiful talk, really touching. Exactly what I want.
Okay. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
So our second two speakers are from the Marine Biology Department. Daniel Sher is the head of the Marine Chemical Ecology Lab that studies the chemically mediated interactions between microorganisms in the oceans and between microorganisms and jellyfish. Very interesting. Tsvia Gildor is my lab manager, and she studies the role of the in my subject, I stuck cytoskeleton remodeling in development of sea urchin skeleton. But Both of them will not talk about microorganism or sea urchins. They will tell us about the special course they developed and taught this year, which is called Sea Society, Education and Leadership. So Daniel and Tsvia, here you go.
Okay, let me just see, share the screen. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, yes.
So first thing, thanks Madal for organizing this and for inviting us and for taking the school seminar in a new direction. And before Tsvia and I tell you about our course, it's called Sea Society, Education and Leadership, I want to take one step back and say that as part of the Charney School of Marine Sciences forward thinking, so the 5-year plan and how we see ourselves in 5 years, in 10 years, there was a whole effort leading towards outreach and the interactions between the Charney School and the society as a whole, so that in addition to the things that we've been presenting and other people have been will or have been presenting, there is a drive to make a strong connection between the school and between the community. So if you find that you're interested in this sort of stuff, you're more than welcome to contact Tsvia and I, who were part of that outreach committee. So I'm going to start. I'm not, unlike Revital, I'm not going to talk about terrestrial wetlands, but I am going to start with flowers. So once upon a time, until not so long ago, wildflowers are regularly picked in Israel, like they are in many places in the world. This is a photograph on the left-hand side of an Australian soldier from the First World War picking kalaniot, anemones down south. Lots of us have been there and know how red it is. The photos on the right are from the Zionist archive. When it was at the early times of the State of Israel, this was what children did. They went and they picked flowers. And in some cases, they didn't only pick the flowers and bring them home, but they dried them and they sent them abroad. So there were these big projects. We've just sent 130,000 flowers from children in Israel to Jewish children in the diaspora. This is all great, but at some stage people started realizing that this is not sustainable, and that the wildflowers are disappearing, especially those beautiful ones that end up being picked. So in 1964, there was a change, and this change was a combination of regulation. So the law which prohibited picking wildflowers, or many wildflowers, but also a very significant aspect of education. Like you see in this picture over here on the right-hand side, which says in Hebrew, go out and see the view, but don't pick a flower. And this changed. So if you go around Israel today, you will see very, very few people picking flowers, and certainly wildflowers, the rare wildflowers, and many of these flowers on this image on the left have now rebounded and are much more common. A really important key part of this project was working through children and youth. The thought at the time, to a large extent, was adults already have their ways that they're used to, the way that people behave. It's going to be difficult to convince adults, for example, to stop picking flowers. But children are exactly the right age where they can learn something new and they can influence back on their people and their parents and society in general. So a very significant part of this drive was education, including, for example, having children write letters about people who were picking flowers so that they would be warned not to do it again. This one is from a group from a school that visited the University of Haifa, and the teacher happened to have Gamma Maccabim flowers and warning them that you're not allowed to do this. There was a very big aspect of having children and youth involved in it, and actually having children as the drivers of this change was what made this actually work and work very quickly. So we're actually interested in the marine environment, and I think everybody over here knows that some of the thoughts that we may have had 50 or 60 or 100 years ago about terrestrial environments are now being thought about marine environments. So there was a saying, the solution to pollution is dilution. You will just throw things into the sea, into the ocean, it will get diluted, and we now know that's not the case. I chose one of hundreds of thousands of pictures of trash in the sea, and we all know today that the way that humans treat the sea, between trash and overfishing and overexploitation, and we can give a whole list of cases where what we do influences the seas, is something that we don't think is sustainable. And we believe that the solution over here is both a combination of laws and of regulation, but also of education. We asked ourselves, Tsvia and I, and the 5 amazing students whose names I presented in the previous slide, Nogat, Lamir, Shai, and Menachem, whether we could do something to change it. And the idea was to build an outreach course, which would enable students at the Charney School of Marine Sciences to participate in outreach and to work with high school students, and we'll talk about that in a second. But why would a student at the school doing a master's or a PhD thesis want to be involved in outreach? So, we're all very busy. We all do our research. We don't have all that much time. So one thing that we could do is that we planned a course whereby, as part of the course, the students, as well as Tsvia and I, the educators, would learn about environmental and societal challenges related to the sea. I don't think any of us necessarily knows where our future will be, what we'll be doing, once we've graduated, but there's a lot of very interesting work that has to do with the interface between environment and education. We thought this would be a way of students becoming aware of this. Another thing that we wanted to do was to enable all of us to develop our teaching skills, as well as other skills that are important in science, such as time management, project management, working in a team, and so forth. So that was one of the goals inherent in the way that we built the project. We thought that students who would do this course would have a very important line in their CVs. I think it is very important for many people who recruit people today to work to see that that the people that they are recruiting are interested in doing something that is beyond work and that are involved in society. And finally, we were able to get funding to give scholarships for the students. But the really most important part, all of these are kind of nice things to have, but the really most important part was that we would all feel that we're helping to work towards some sort of change. We had a whole set of decisions to make. For example, who do we want to work with? Who will be our partners? Who will be the community people we're working with? Pensioners, families, adults, children. We decided to focus on children, among other reasons, because of these educational aspects that we were talking about. We then had to decide whether we're going to work in the school system, high school, intermediate school, primary school, maybe with extracurricular youth groups. We decided for many reasons to focus on intermediate schools. High schools are too much inside of their tests. Primary schools are interesting, but they have other disadvantages. We decided to work with 7th graders, and we were very lucky to have a very strong connection with Rivka, who is the headmistress and the science teacher at Ironi Gimel High School in Haifa, which is a high school from a neighborhood that used to be very strong socioeconomically, but a lot of immigration went into there. So now they are facing all sorts of challenges that have to do with new immigrants and old immigrants and things like that. So it was a very interesting school to work with. This is also the place to thank the funding that we got and the help that we got from the flagship program at the University of Haifa. This program was actually funded through a grant that we submitted with them to Vatat, and the school, our school, that contributed also money. And now it's Tsvia's turn.
Okay, hi. So I'm going to tell you about the last course we had. We started in a brainstorming meeting, thinking about the main problems in the relationship between man and sea. And as Daniel mentioned, we decided to work with the 7th grade kids from Ironi Gimel, and we met Rivka Ginsburg. You see her here. And she presented the school population and problems they get there. And we learn how to guide well, preparing ourselves to guide in tours, meeting in schools, fantasizing about guiding them here, hosting them at the university. But then the corona came, and we met on Zoom. And after the first closure, we managed to go to the preparatory tour on the beach. And in that point, we thought that it will be possible to meet the children on the beach, but finally it wasn't possible, and we met them only on Zoom. And even though, after all, the kids started to deal with the marine issues, I wanted to tell you about how we did it. We had something like 60 kids. They were separated into groups, and each student took 3 different groups and guided them by Zoom or by WhatsApp groups individually. And they dealt with all kinds of subjects like desalination, coral damage, plastic contamination, and so on. And we had some products. The kids made their final posters with what they learned about the subjects. And the students built internet sites in which all Hebrew readers can get in and read about the Mediterranean Sea and about the course. Each of them made a short TED-like talk about a subject, a marine subject that is close to them. Like Menachem talked about life which are everywhere. Shai talked about microorganisms. Amir taught us about beach rocks. Noga talked about asking questions, and Tzlil about plastic contaminations. And it was wonderful to work with them, and I'm very, very grateful for this excellent group. And I really hope that they are very pleased with their take-home messages. And this year, the course will take place in 2 separate semesters. The first semester will be more theoretical, starting at next Sunday. The students will get 2 credit points and will know how to do all kinds of things like TED-like talks. At the second semester will be the practical work with the 7th grade children from Ironi Gimel. It will give another 2 credit points and scholarship. I want to emphasize that it is possible to get only to the first semester and not to the second one, but not to the second one without the first one. And I really encourage you to come and join us in the course, and even come on Sunday and see if it's worked for you. Because changing the way we treat the sea starts with each one of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tsvia and Daniel. This was beautiful. Very nice turtle images, by the way.
Yes, I was going to say that was Yarden, Smadar's daughter, who drew the artwork.
Sorry, that was really important.
It's okay. Noga is asking, how can we join the course? Noga Aviv is asking that.
So we sent a few weeks ago a notification of how to join the course. We'll ask the secretariat to send it again. There'll be the link to the course will be given on this coming Sunday on Zoom. And then once people have come and decided if it's okay for them, if this is what they want to do, then we can move from there. We'll send out we'll ask the secretariat to send out the instructions again. We apologize that the course will be given in Hebrew because we've double checked this, and because the kids we're working with are speaking in Hebrew, there's actually no opportunity to do the outreach work in English or in any other language right now. However, if you are interested in outreach and this course unfortunately can't give you that, please be in contact with us, because we have other options as well that are unrelated to the course but can still be of really very interesting and very important and very, very contributing.
Thank you very much, Daniel and Tsvia. So I hope we will really gain more students that will come to the course, because I think it's really important, very inspiring. Beautiful contribution I think you made, and it really makes me proud to be a part of this community. Really, it's very inspiring.
So I just want to say that they have a really, really nice website.
Yeah.
Chalon Layam Hatichon. Please go and look on it. It's really inspiring. I went into it and it was so fun that I sent it to the whole community in my village. So I think it's worthwhile.
Daniel, please put the link in the chat, the link to the website, so everyone can. I will also send it I will send the recording of this seminar, and I will also I can send the link to the website.
I'll organize it.
Excellent. Okay, so our last speaker. Our last speaker is Roee Diamant. Just a second, I'll share the screen so you will see. From the Marine Technologies Department. And by the way, Marine Civilization Department, don't worry. In our next seminars, there are 2 speakers from the Marine Civilization Department. All departments of this school are going to be represented in these seminars. No department will be left alone. So Roee is the head of the lab that studies underwater acoustic signal detection, marine navigation and underwater localization and underwater noise measurement. The noise measurement is actually related to what you're going to talk about. Today will tell us about his work with high school students on tagging marine mammals vocalization and about a corner show that demonstrates this work at the Haifa Maritime Museum. So Roee, I don't see you?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. So please share. I will stop share my screen. Please, the stage is yours.
Okay, thanks. Right. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Roee, and I'm going to talk about kind of the community aspects of the research life in the lab. It actually connects really nicely with what Daniel showed about pollution at the sea. So in our case, we are talking about acoustic pollution, which is kind of like shooting myself in the leg. What I wanted to present is first some introduction about the research we are doing, and then to talk about how we kind of harness the community to help us. So we have quite a lot of students working on detection. We talk about active detection and passive detection. And some of them really like dolphin sounds. We have a very nice work that stretches now for more than 2 years about developing new methodologies how to detect dolphin whistles. And this is very important because by the dolphin whistles, we can measure the density of the dolphins. We can know how many are there in the area. We can also talk about abundance, hotspots, etc. Now, if anyone of you seen acoustic data, it accumulates really fast. So if you put something like a hydrophone in the water for more than a few months, you will get terabytes of data. And this is something that we cannot really manage manually. So automatic detection is what is done today. And it's a very nice field because it combines signal processing guys like me with marine biologists. So what our aim is kind of to extend the current approach towards a better trade-off between the false negative and the true positive. What you see here in the figure is what we call a spectrogram, where you see the time and the frequency. And this is a dolphin whistle. That's how it looks. Our goal is to actually detect it automatically. And then we want to characterize it, classify. There's lots of analysis that is done afterwards. Another interesting thing in our work is clustering of dolphin whistles. If any of you heard a pod of dolphins, it sounds like a cocktail party. I'm gonna play you some sound here. I hope you can hear it. Wait a second, probably need to get the earphone out for that, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna play you this sound. So it's basically a mess. And you can see the spectrogram of what is there in this figure. And the idea is for our research is to associate whistles.
Roee, can we hear it again? Because I didn't hear anything actually.
Okay.
I can hear you very
yeah.
well, but not this.
Let's see. Can you hear it?
Now I can hear it. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a variety of clicks and whistles in that thing from multiple dolphins. We actually manually tagged more than 1,000 whistles just by this kind of section of the WAV file. To count the whistles requires also to associate between the whistle itself and its harmonic multipass or reflection from the seabed and from the sea surface, also cutoff. And here we kind of develop a novel approach to do that. And you can see an example here in this figure where the dolphin sounds are kind of being associated to individual dolphin whistles. So in order to do that, we wanted to we needed a lot of data, and we needed to check the data on large quantities. We could model it, but the modeling is never good enough. And there's a lot of there's a huge databases that are available for free for people from stations that kind of recorded acoustic signals. So we teamed up with the Citizen Science Project. This is run by Yael Kelly from the University of Haifa, and it's kind of a collaboration between her and other researchers from Haifa and from the Technion. And they kind of coordinate citizen science projects. Just to clarify, citizen science would be kind of teaming up between researchers with real research needs and citizens, like in our case, high school kids, but it can be the general public. So other people from the school are also doing it. For example, Dror Angel with the Jellyfish Project, and there are others. In our case, we had 9 grade students, and they're very passionate science teacher, Oshrat, from the open school in Haifa. And we prepared for them a simulator, this kind of thing. It's not a simulator, it's like a user interface where they can play out the sound, they can visualize it with the spectrogram, and they can tag whenever they see a dolphin whistle. So they can say there's a whistle here, and they can also kind of help us by tracking its the curve, the spectral curve. Then everything like that is recorded, and we get the data out. We gave them some laptops, and they were very happy because instead of listening to science courses, they were looking at dolphin whistles and hearing them. So it was really fun. Of course, we also explained to them the motivation for that work and why it's important, and gave them credit on publications, etc. So part of this education was something that I really feel passionate about, is the risks of shipping underwater radiated noise on marine animals, and not just mammals itself. Sound in the sea for marine animals is used for multiple things. So you can see here they communicate with sound, they navigate, they attract mates, they defend their territory or find foods, and there are others. This is sound that I recorded in the Georgia Strait near Vancouver. And this is a sperm whale with its codex. So now we have a big project for detecting and classifying sperm whales in the Dominica Island. And here how a ship would sound in the water. So that's a container ship. It has a very high bandwidth energy spread all over the spectrum, very, very powerful. And the same thing can be heard if we kind of, yes?
Can I ask a question? The ears of dolphins and whales, like the noise or the sounds that they hear, do you know if they hear like what we hear? Is there the way their ears are function? Like, do they hear the same bandwidth? Do they hear the same kind of sound?
So as I like to say, I'm only an engineer. So I cannot really say that. What we are trying to understand is the effect of sound. This is indeed what we hear, what we want to say. And over here in this table, you actually see it, how it affects the foraging capability of in this case, it's an orca. So when there's no vessel, and there's some sort of ambient noise in the area, it can detect a small fish at the distance of 200 meters. If there is a vessel around 1 kilometer away, that already reduces to 150 meters. And as the vessel comes close, let's say 100 meters, so 400% less, right? So 57 meters range detection. And you can actually kind of also understand that if we, if I play with this sound, so that's the sound of the cetacean. And here is the same cetacean when there is a container ship 2 kilometers away. So really blocking the entire bandwidth. So we try to explain about the risks also to the children, and that really motivate them to tag us a lot of whistles. So far, they've done about 4 or 5 months of tagging. They tagged tens of thousands of whistles for us. That really helped the research. And the same thing, we pushed it forward and we made a corner show at the maritime, the Haifa Maritime Museum. This show started on the 17th of July. It includes what they call an acoustic bubble, which is basically this infrastructure here with a projector that plays sound. It plays whale sound, dolphin sound, container ships, you know, these kind of things. A lot of so it's like a periodic file of about 20 minutes that kind of runs periodically. Now, the visitors can watch on the screen here the spectrogram. They get information sheets over here with everything that we discussed about the risks of shipping noise and the importance of sound to marine animals. This is, by the way, my daughter here, and she likes the show, so that's also a very good thing because she loses patience really quickly. And I'm just gonna finish that there's been more than 100 visitors per day, school visits, students, Navy soldiers, regulators also from the Ministry of Energy told me they visited the show, so it's really nice. And there is over here a piece that I will try to share here in Walla that kind of explain about the show. See, it was running before. Okay.
שלום לצופי וואלה ניוז, אנחנו נמצאים במוזיאון הימי הלאומי. אני עדי שלח, אני האוצרת של המוזיאון. המוזיאון הזה הוא בעיניי נמל בית לכל מי שאוהב את הים, לכל מי שהים מסקרן אותו, הקשר של האדם עם הים מסקרן אותו גם לאורך התקופות ההיסטוריות וגם בימים אלו ממש. אנחנו לא נוכל לראות את כל המוזיאון היום, זה מוזיאון מאוד גדול. אנחנו נתמקד בעיקר בתערוכה אחת, התערוכה שנקראת...
אז אני מריץ את זה קדימה לתערוכה שלנו. אוקיי, הנה זה כאן.
תמיד נדמה לנו שהים הוא מקום שקט, תמיד אומרים שותה כמו דג, הים ובעלי החיים הימיים ככה מסמלים לנו הרבה פעמים שקט, זה דממה, אבל זה לא כך, אבל אתם מוזמנים פה להטות אוזן לצלילים שבים, ולנסות לנחש אם אתם שומעים דולפינים, אם אתם שומעים לוויתני אורקה, אם אתם שומעים אריות ים, או אם אתם שומעים מנוע של ספינת מסע גדולה, ולדמיין איך זה משפיע על התקשורת של בעלי החיים. הם מתקשרים לצורך ניווט, לצורך מציאת בני זוג בעונת הרבייה, ואיך הספינות והמטוסים וכל מה שמעשה ידי אדם יכול להשפיע עליהם. ואם לא תצליחו לנחש או תרצו פשוט לבדוק את עצמכם, כמובן שאפשר עם הדפים שיש כאן. בנוסף, יש לכם עמדה, יש כאן עמדה.
זהו, אז אני חושב שבזה סיימתי. תודה רבה.
Thank you very much, Roee. That was very, very interesting and educating. This sound that we heard, all these recordings were done underwater?
Yes.
Yeah, so I also looked very briefly, so I wanted to look about the mammals' hearing capabilities, and I read that also sound travel much faster in the water, so they can hear each other from very far away. So, because I was also thinking what you said, that ships, how many ships? It's not like the ocean is full of ships, but sound travel very fast, right? So.
It's not about the propagation speed, it's about the propagation attenuation. And ships emit radiated noise at very low frequency, and the propagation attenuation is very low in this frequency. So there are evidence that, for example, whales have been communicating with each other over half the globe.
Wow.
And now it really shrinked to a few hundreds of kilometers.
So they can't talk to each other anymore?
They can.
Because of us?
Shorter distance.
Very sad. Anyone want to ask Roee questions about his research? This project is very, very interesting work with the public.
I have a question or comment. Madar, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Evelyn, go ahead.
Hi, Roee. I think it's really fantastic. I wanted to know, will the activity, I mean, once museums go through transitions, and is this going to be a display that will stay there, or is there a chance that it might be able to be moved up to Hecht Museum or something once once they've made changes? Or yeah.
So far the corner show is for a year there. It's the SOS of the Sea, part of the SOS of the Sea show, which is for 1 year. And let's see what happens next. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah. I mean, you say you were an engineer, so maybe this is something the biologist should answer. But is there also something that animals over time get used to certain kinds of noises, and so they adapt to them in a way?
This is something actually that is the scope of a research about behavioral changes in activity of marine mammals, not just marine mammals, but also sea turtles, etc. And there's been only a few evidence about that, nothing really long term. So we cannot really know if animals can adapt. For sure, from my experience, it really affects things. They run away. There's a lot of straddling effects. For example, last year there's been a really major event for sea turtles that were beached with tissue damage, and we think it's from low frequency sonar. So there's lots of things that are. There's like a lot of focus on that, also from the EU and from the IMO. There's a lot of focus in the recent years to try to understand what are indeed the implications.
So thank you very much, Roee. I think it was an amazing, to me, it was an amazing seminar, very inspiring, and it shows how much you get from giving. And it's not just saying big words, it's really amazing what you did, all of you. So we have 3 speakers for the next seminar, but I really need some speaker for the 3rd seminars, which will be about significant scientific contribution. It doesn't need to be a big publication or something that, but something that affected you, affected a science activity or discovery that you were a part of and affected your life and made it really different for you afterwards. So thank you all for coming, and thank you all the people that opened their camera. It makes it much nicer to see these faces. I forgot to ask everyone to open the cameras, but I'm looking on the people that open. It's really nice to see you. I hope you enjoyed the seminar as much as I did, and let's see you again next time. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
זה היה מדהים. הייתם מקסימים. מקווה שאני באמת אקבל את הצ'אט. אני פשוט אסגור